So welcome to today's video, which is going to be a Q&A video. I'm going to be answering your questions that you guys had very kindly left for me in the comments of not my last video, but the one before that, where I'd requested that you leave me some comments. I'm going to put together a Q&A video. So this is going to be part one because I had so many questions posed to me and I really appreciate all of you who took part. I'm going to break this up into a few videos. Because it's going to be too long-winded otherwise. But I hope that you find this helpful, and let's see how it goes. If you do find this helpful, then I'm going to create more of the same and get some more of your questions answered. But first up, just want to thank you all for joining me. I'm Athena Raven. I'm a mental health and manifestation life coach here to empower and inspire you on your manifestation journey. So if you're enjoying the content, really appreciate you liking and subscribing. Help this channel to grow. Let's boost the algorithm. Let's get the content out there to a wider audience. And I love and appreciate all of you for being here and for your consistent support. Now, we're going to talk about things like how to know that you're occupying the state of consciousness to realizing your goals. Got questions about dreams, got questions about improving your faith and being a good manifester, robotic affirmations, understanding what is meant by creation is finished. Can you do imaginal acts when you're depressed? So these are the kind of things that I'm going to try and focus on today. The fear that a lot of you have around detachment, and if I don't think of my desire, it's not going to manifest, these kinds of things. So hopefully you'll find this helpful. And like I said, if I haven't gotten around to answering your question in this video, it'll probably be in the next one or maybe the next one after that. So first up, I've had a couple of people ask actually about how do you know if you are occupying the right state of being for your desire to be realized. Someone else had also stated, how do I know if I've changed my state of consciousness? My journey's taken so long. Sometimes I feel I need to do robotic affirmations. I see people having success with that, but I don't feel it natural. And I don't know what technique to do to occupy the state. So let's talk about how do you know if you're in the state, and then how to occupy that state of being. The state of being, it's either I am the person who has this desire, or I am not the person who has this desire. And that's it. In relation to whatever it is that you desire, you want to occupy that place of I am this, I feel this, I own this right now, I have this. So what we tend to do is we tend to go into our imagination to feel this out, usually in first person. I recommend always in first person, because then you're really subjecting yourself to it. How else can you become? How else can you be? How else can you experience this reality that's already in existence, this possibility that you're lighting up, that you're bringing to life, possibility of having this desire realized, having your issue and problem solved, it's taken care of. And a lot of us, when we subject ourselves to that scene that implies that we have our desire after the fact, after we have received it, the congratulations usually of having achieved your promotion, the wonderful cuddly cozy scene that you have with your specific person, where you're looking back at memories that you've created, which suggests you've been together for a long time, which suggests that you are married or in a relationship, if they're wedding photos or something you're looking back on. Things like this that imply that you have your desire and you're solid in it. And a lot of us will feel a state of relief, calm, content from having gone through this subjection of this scene. You have become, at that moment, there and then, you have shifted your state of being immediately, shifted your concept of self as soon as you've subjected yourself to this desire. You're no longer thinking of your desire like it's something separate, like it's something in the distance. You are it now. You are experiencing it right now. And you're impressing yourself right now with this desire, transforming there and then, becoming. And that's how you know that you are in the state of being, subjecting yourself to it in first person. Another way to tell as well is that we tend to become more detached from our desires when we are occupying the state. And we also tend to have inner conversations that are more in alignment with our outcome as well, is more in harmony with that end goal too. A lot of the times you're able to even forget about the desire, and you're so busy with everyday life, you're planting other seeds as well. Some of you might feel that with SPs, specific person, it's a little bit different. You might still have thoughts and you might miss them and things like that. But essentially you've got a somewhat level of detachment where you're not so hell-bent and focused on the outcome and obsessing and worrying about it anymore. You've got an acceptance that this has been taken care of. So that level of acceptance brings in a level of calm. You don't feel the need to keep on doing techniques, to keep on becoming and trying anymore. You are it, and you walk in expectancy of this outcome, or you forget about it and move on with your life and let the bridge unfold in its own natural way. So hopefully that's clarified that question, or those two parts of that question, how to do it and how you know you're occupying the state. Another question with regards to dreams. Do you believe that dreams are always just fears and subconscious beliefs coming to the surface, or do you think there can be some wisdom in them? For example, recently I had a nightmare with the usual scenario that I got back with my SP and it was going well. She even got me to present to show me that she has been thinking of me, but then something came up and she decided that she still doesn't want to commit to me and she wants to date other people. After going through the stages of shock, disbelief, anger, sadness in the dream, I remember that one sentence came to my mind. It didn't feel like a normal thought. It was something very important. It was like something very important was downloaded in bold letters into my mind, and it stated, "You have to fully let her go to get her back." So with regards to dreams, I don't claim to be anything like Neville. He knew a lot of the symbolism behind dreams, and I don't particularly, I don't really know all the symbolism behind dreams. Remember, they're never literal. Dreams are never literal. There's always a lot of symbolic meaning behind it. But I will say that from personal experience, I have noticed, for example, when I was manifesting my very first specific person, that at first my dreams were very much anxiety ridden, very much about the third party, very much fights and anger. I think I still had a lot of aggression and resentment, and that was coming through in my dreams as well. But I noticed that in time, when I had subjected myself to what would it feel like if he and I were back together again, when I had accepted that, when I had become the person who, yes, I have this desire, and in my day-to-day life, I just had acceptance. I knew he was coming back. I just felt that within myself. I suddenly started to notice that because I was presenting him to myself in my imagination in a certain way, he was conformed, he was better. I had revised a lot of the past. What I had found was that my dreams also shifted from that of, arguments and anger and animosity and whatever else, third parties, to us rekindling, reconnecting, just more in harmony. So I do believe that there is a lot that the dreams are telling us in regards to this and what state we're occupying. It's your unconscious mind, as they say. God talks to you through your dreams. And I love as well that you had this almost spiritual experience where you had this message come through, Han, about you have to fully let her go to get her back. It reminded me a little bit of when Neville Goddard was, I believe it was when he was manifesting his way out of the army, and he did an imaginal scene to see that he had been approved to be, to be let out of the army, essentially. And he said that when he did that imaginal act, he then had this voice come in, this download, I suppose, similar to this, where it was just like, that which I have done, do nothing. So essentially, trust in this. God has heard your prayers. It's taken care of. Just get on with your day. So they can, absolutely, I do believe as well that there can be some wisdom. There can be some messages coming through from your consciousness. So I really hope that helps. What does it go through? So I've got another person mentioning that they were going through phases where they feel like they're a good manifester, and then at other times they don't believe in manifestation at all, especially around a specific person. Even though I've experienced proof in other parts of my life, I guess, how can I get past the feeling of not believing in manifestation sometimes? Now, a lot of people have doubts, particularly in the beginning of your journey, or maybe you've been on the journey for a while and you find yourself flitting in and out of faith in the Lord. Does it work? I'm getting inconsistent results, or I'm not getting results at all. Although the law is easy to understand, in many respects, the concept around it is simple to understand. The application of it can be quite tricky, particularly if it's something that we're emotionally really invested in, like a specific person, and we've got the baggage of heartbreak in the past as well. That's why I utilize mental health and modalities of therapy to assist with this, to allow us to shift in state, to help us to heal through the grieving process first. Because I know that a lot of people come to this community, discover manifestation, they want to manifest a specific person, and that's their only goal, and that's all they're focused on. And because sometimes these manifestations can take a while, because it can take a while for us to accept our new state as natural and to be able to detach enough from it to allow it to come in, we start to have doubts. We start to wonder if this is working. So I always, and you'll notice this in my success stories and my clients too, that they will have other goals that they're manifesting, be it a car or a house or career tends to be the most popular. And I get them to partake in what I call the mini manifestations that they would do on a day-to-day basis, having a list of other things to manifest, keeping track of your manifestations as well, so that you can always prove to yourself how this is working, how the bridge unfolds for every desire, how you planted that seed in the first place, what was most effective for you. That's a fantastic way to build up faith. How else would you build up faith in yourself or in anything, for example, without putting it to the test? Don't just have specific person as your main goal and your only goal. Have some other desires as well, and also understand that the bridge, the unfolding of these bridges of events can take time. And although when you have accepted your desire, you have this level of detachment, you're not so worried and focused about time. I know that that can seem very daunting for a lot of people, and they struggle to detach because they're still wanting to check the 3D for validation. They don't believe that it works unless the 3D is validating themselves. But that's why it's imagination plus faith is the key, because you're walking in that trust the entire time. Even if you see no signs, some of you will see some small signs here and there, perhaps some synchronicities. But for the most part, some manifestations can take a day, week, month. Sometimes it's years. And what are we going to do in the meantime? We're not going to be waiting and mistrusting the process. We want to live our best life. We want to have other goals as well. And we want to lead a more fulfilling life. We are living it now. We are being it now. So we're not waiting for anything on the outside. So this is how you can build your faith. Just keep on testing it is the best way. Another question is, what's your opinion about robotic affirming? So anyone who knows me and my content, I never use robotic affirmations ever for everything that I've manifested: a house, car, money, health stuff, numerous SPs as well, numerous specific people, exes, whatever. I have never ever used robotic affirmations. I don't particularly find them useful. I know that some people gain some level of success with robotic affirmations, affirming all day. And they might find that people reflect back some of their affirmations to them. Now, it's okay if you don't have much resistance to shifting state, or it's okay if you're using it as a supplement to say other techniques you are using, perhaps scripting or telephone technique, other imaginal acts like that. I remember when. So you could be utilizing all these other techniques if you want to use robotic affirming on the side, but I personally never have. And I find with a lot of my clients too, they struggle with it. It causes a lot of anxiety. It can exacerbate anxiety and actually cause OCD in a lot of people, because then they believe that if I'm not affirming all day and I'm not thinking about it, then this isn't going to happen. And they find themselves almost afraid to drop the affirmations. And the thing with affirmations as well, it's okay if you're say using generic affirmations, for example, everything is working out for me, then your mind is going to naturally want to search for, okay, everything's working out. Let's look for evidence that things are working out, and will no doubt find that some things are working out for you in life. Hence, everything is working out. It's quite a broad term, but many coaches will teach you to be very specific with your affirmations, like I am in a loving relationship with my specific person, and it's not the truth. So you end up fighting your mind, and we're not here to fight the mind. We're not here to fight our ego selves. You want to work in harmony with yourself as much as you can. And so we can accept that we're not currently in contact with our specific person right now, but in imagination, we've experienced it. I can't personally experience my wish fulfilled simply by robotically affirming some words. And if I'm wide awake and I'm robotically affirming that my SP is in contact with me and they're not, then my ego mind, the critical faculty of my mind is there saying, no, it's not. I'm looking for evidence. No, you're not in contact with them. And I'm further bringing attention to the fact that I don't have it, which is why as well, many people tend to, even though they're affirming for the positive, they end up manifesting the opposite of what they want, because they're constantly bringing that to their awareness that they don't have it, because they're fighting with the mind. So I personally prefer to use my imaginal scenes, because only then can I really feel out my wish fulfilled. Can I really experience it in ways that words alone will not evoke that feeling within me, that experience within me, if that makes sense. Another one was my current questions are regards the quote, creation is finished. And coach is saying to focus on yourself. And I know that you're stating, Hun, that you said sometimes you get resentful because you feel it's unfair. What about manifesting other people? They're likable, but they don't generate the same feelings as SP. So I know that English is probably not your first language, so I apologize if I don't get this completely accurate as to what exactly you're asking. But let's start with this notion of creation is finished. Is this understanding that within consciousness, within imagination, well, it is infinite. There's nothing that you cannot imagine. You can imagine absolutely anything, any scenario, any space, any time, and have that experience right now. You can become consciously aware of anything and bring that to life in your 3D reality. Whatever that scene implies, whatever that experience implies, is going to be manifest, even if it's not the exact scene that you imagined, which for the most part is not. But what the implications are of that scene, the meaning, the experience you're having, is what is going to be presented to you in your 3D reality at some space in time. And so for creation to be finished, because it is infinite, God is infinite, omnipotent, consciousness, the same source, the universe. How do you describe it? Infinite, right? In order for infinity to exist, the definition of infinity, everything has to be in existence now, everything. And I believe that in one of Neville's lectures, and I'm not going to quote it verbatim, but I just recall him talking about numbers, the sequence of numbers, infinite numbers that exist. If I go for, okay, 7 plus 7 equals 14, but I keep on getting the incorrect number of 12 for some reason. So let me just take 12 out of the equation. Let me just rip 12 up. It doesn't exist anymore. And I can make sure that I get 14. Now, in just taking out that one possibility, be it a good, a bad, a right, or a wrong answer, it's no longer infinite. Creation is not finished. Infinity is not finished, because that 12 is going to play an important part in some other reality creation, is going to play an important part in some other part of the bridge. Everything has to be in existence now for us to be able to be infinite, for consciousness to be infinite. Am I explaining this correctly? I'm hoping that this is clear. I don't know where my brain is going. But essentially, you can understand that if you take out one number, then it's not infinite. And then the whole system just collapses. So that's why creation is finished. There's nothing to be created, only experience. The states are already there, and we can occupy any state at any time. And we choose to do that through our consciousness, becoming aware of, well, what would it be like if I was this person? What would it be like if I had this outcome? What would it be like experiencing this different states, becoming it now, going through the experience now, accepting it now. And in order for me to experience it, you see, the bridge of events could unfold any number of ways. We have to have the good and the bad, the yin and the yang. So this is the idea. Creation is finished. It's already done. We just have to choose our state of being. The bridge, everything else is taken care of. This stuff with focus on yourself is because it's your consciousness that is creating, that is forever expressing out on this screen of space, or this 3D reality. So that's why focus is always on yourself. That's why when people say, oh, but I feel like I'm doing all this work to manifest my specific person, I'm wasting my time. But why? the attention and focus is always on yourself, not on what they're doing, not on what's going wrong, but the person that you like to be, the experiences that you would like to have. It's an uplifting thing. It's a healing journey. It's a journey of self-discovery. It's never wasted. And if your consciousness is always the thing expressing, well, whatever experience you want to have in your 3D world, it stands to reason that you should focus on self, shift yourself in order to see the expression that you wish to be expressed. It's no different to looking in the mirror, and a lot of us are still fighting with our mirror reflection, telling the mirror reflection, smile, smile, but you're not smiling first. So the change has to come from self first before you can see it reflected in this 3D reality, which is our delayed mirror. So I hope that makes sense and deals with the whole resentment and feeling that it's unfair, because you're only doing this for yourself at the end of the day. It's not about them. It's not about the material objects. It's not about the specific people. It's always about yourself and how you view yourself and how you view your reality and people in it. Another question that I got was, should I continue my imaginal acts even on days when I feel depressed, or should I wait until I'm in a better mood? And this integrates with someone else who asked me a question about this concept of the dark night of the soul, which I'm assuming is, again, another, like, the state of depression. Because I know, Hun, you were saying that you've been working on self-concept for the past 3 years, and the first 2 years you were seeing rapid changes manifesting quickly, and then last year you fell into depression. Everything seemed to fall apart, and during that time you were really struggling with things like meditating, affirming. Literally, you felt that no method really worked for you in accepting the new changes. So what I found was, obviously, you guys know from my journey, I'd come through PTSD. In my earlier years, my earlier 20s, struggled with depression, struggled with crippling anxiety. I was still manifesting my dreams and desires effectively even then. That's why I say you don't have to be happy. You don't have to be elated. This is not about being in a great state of mind. You either are the person who has the desire or you're not. Doesn't matter what kind of mood you're in. You know, what about in relation to that desire? Have you accepted that desire? Then it doesn't matter. You can be depressed all day long and still have this outcome. For a lot of us who have gone through a breakup with a specific person, you need that time to grieve. You need that time to process the old story, because before you can replace it with a new one, you can't go from depression, anxiety, grief-stricken, heartbroken, to Z, brilliant, in a loving, committed relationship, feeling great, and really accept that to be an experience that you've actually had within. It can take a bit of time, and in the interim you might need to persist a little bit with your imaginal act to allow yourself to shift to that state. What would it be like if it was true? Feel that out. You've got to go through this process of healing, and everyone takes a different amount of time. I found that particularly with a specific person, if there was a breakup, I would allow myself the time to grieve. Yes, I would still immerse myself in my imaginal acts, because it did make me feel better to focus on the things that I wanted to experience, rather than what 3D was currently showing me. Because let's face it, you know, it wasn't showing me the ideal. I was split up with my SP, or there was this seeming degrees of separation, degrees of hatred and all the rest of it. This is not what I want to experience. So I would allow myself to go into my imaginal act. But in a state of depression, I did find that I did struggle with it from time to time. It made me feel good, but it seemed to be a very, very temporary fix. And then I would go back into it, and then I would go back into it again. But the important factor here is that you don't stress yourself with it. If it doesn't feel good, then just don't do it. Allow yourself to grieve. First of all, justify how you're feeling if you are feeling depressed, and work through that depression, either using modalities of therapy, mindfulness practices, maybe changing up your routine, or finding new skills and hobbies as well, investing time into yourself and your healing. And then as well, you can incorporate the imaginal acts into it too, until it starts to feel more comfortable. You wear it in, like, as Neville says, like a new suit. At first it's going to feel uncomfortable, but then if you keep wearing it, it becomes a part of you. You're not thinking about it anymore. And so you can do imaginal acts on the days that you feel depressed. I did find that it helped as part of my healing, but I did find as well, I had periods where I just couldn't. And so I wouldn't force myself or push myself, because this isn't about forcing it. This isn't about, I must use my imagination to make change and create change. This is about I just want to experience something different from my current reality. I want to experience my ideal right now because I don't have it. I'm feeling depressed. That mindset helped me to just gently persuade myself, because that's what it's about. It's just a gentle coaxing into this new state of being. You're more willing to accept it that way with least resistance. But you can do it when you're depressed. And if you're depressed and you can't do it, don't force yourself. Wait until you're starting to feel better. Someone else had mentioned, I know I touched upon this fear of detachment, because I get this question a lot. I fear that this detachment will make me forget about my SP and the manifestation won't show up. And this is from like old failed trials of manifesting specific people in the past. So, you've got other beliefs like whomever I like, they leave and they never come back. So that's a core belief that we have to deal with. And we have to create an assumption in opposition to that as well. But I understand this level of this fear around detachment, because like I mentioned before, to keep on desiring is to keep on being in the state of desire, to keep on wanting. You're still thinking of it. It's still segregated from you. You want to fuse with your desire. You want to experience it now. You want to become it now. And from that becoming it now, we have naturally a level of detachment, because we're not going to keep on desiring and yearning and being in lack for something that we already have, even though we've just experienced it internally for now. Too much talking and coaching and video making. But even though we've experienced it just internally for now, there is a level of satiation that comes with that. There is a level of healing that comes with that. There is a shift in state. So my perspectives change on life. And so I do naturally detach from this outcome, detach from the lack, detach from the doubts and the worries. You might still have them on occasion, and that's fine. But generally, I do understand that people do have this concern that if you're not constantly affirming about it, thinking about it, imagining it, then it's not going to happen. But the best manifestations tend to come around when you've pretty much moved on with your life and you've almost forgotten about it. Although I know with specific person manifestation, let's face it, when we're not able to just forget about it as such. But for the most part, you're not really thinking about it all that much. You're definitely not obsessing about it anymore. And in times like that, that's when you notice things start to flood in. So I wouldn't worry about detachment. Detachment is a natural part of manifestation. It can actually work in your favor to detach, to almost forget about it, to move on with your life, because you've got no resistance and nothing. You're not getting in your own way of your manifestation coming in fluidly, quickly, efficiently, because it will always come in the quickest way possible as well. So don't be afraid to let go. Letting go is not something you push and force, by the way. That'll be a byproduct as well of your shift in state. Another way that you can tell that you've shifted your state of consciousness, by the way. And I think what I'm going to do is, because I'm up to nearly half an hour, so I'm going to end the video here. And I've got quite a few questions left to go through. But do let me know in the comments if you found this useful. And I can, over time, start creating more videos like this as well. If you guys have got any questions, then I can put some in-depth answers out there to try and alleviate all of your anxieties and to just clarify things and hopefully clarify a lot of the misinformation that is out there too. Because I have lived this and I've put it to the test for the last 20 years. So I know how this works, and I will always share from my personal experience as well. But put it to the test for yourself. It is the greatest way. I want to thank you for all of you who took part. If I didn't answer your questions this time, I promise I'll get round to it in the next video, or maybe the one after that if this becomes a 3-parter. And I love and appreciate all of you for being here. I'll see you next time.